So this is Rustic Waters, sometimes called Minecraft C Block. It was recommended by Kip, who thought it was really fun for the ambience. Certainly the environment is fun. I'm flying around in an underwater submarine. Looks kind of like that. And obviously the whole thing is underwater. One thing they've got are these dungeons, where you find a bunch of stuff in dungeons. In theory, you're probably supposed to go break the dungeons and then fight all these monsters and stuff, which can get you killed pretty quickly. But that's not the way I like to go, because I don't like getting killed quickly. It's much more fun to flood them. After all, this game has given you all sorts of things for being effective underwater, plus the arrow on the side of the head, which certainly improves things. So I just like to open up the engines. And yeah, then the witch just poisons themselves. They throw things at me. This doesn't do any good. It's kind of hilarious. Meanwhile, they've got spawners, which are pretty easy to take out. Sometimes they give you a broken spawner. They got a bunch of chests, which have items you will need throughout the game. But, like, jumping in and grabbing the items is pretty darn easy. Because I'm totally water friendly and the monsters aren't. So the dungeons are cute, but in the end, not actually that hard. Alright. Anyway, yeah, easy to run in, grab stuff, get out. Look! Chests! These are really hard to get. Okay, not really. How could I possibly get the stuff in that chest? Where's that chest? All mine. Where's that chest? All mine. Alright, anyway, I'm out of here. You guys have fun. So, that's the dungeons. Kind of fun to play with, but it's not super exciting. Another thing, they got a lot of all over the ocean floor, of course, are ships. Smaller ships like these are all pirate ships. And in this case, they will have spawners down here, which makes them, on one hand, really dangerous. On the other hand, well, if you just know in practice that the chest they store is always stored over here, you run down, you grab the chest, you get out, and voila, you got yourself a chest. They're also not hard once you figure them out. The larger chests, like these galleons, they don't have much of interest. I admit I do like the underground feel. The underwater feel for this game is pretty sweet. Okay, so a couple things. Well, so let's cover this one first. There are these periodic little temples underwater. The temples basically are full of alligators. And so you go down here, there'll be alligators, crocodiles all over the place. Each one also has a couple treasure chests. So you can go over here, get the treasure chest, and then ditch. If you have room to carry it, dump some stuff in there. Grab the treasure chest. Have the treasure chest over here. Not much else here. The floor of these things are full of diamonds and emeralds, which if you want diamonds and emeralds, you can go for that. Alligators aren't too dangerous, really. But they'll hurt you. The treasure chests are full of random loot. You can just find out in JNEI what's in there. I also have these things, which are just kind of weird. It's certainly a place you can get some magma cubes. All of them, if you dig straight down here, have some glowstone plus a epic loot technology chest, which ends up having stuff from AE2 in it. You can get your bootstraps in AE2, I suppose. Oh, quit pulling me down. Stop it. And this is interesting. This is basically what your starter base looks like. Wait, that failed. Here. This is your starter base. You got your Chili Willy. You get a tree to get yourself started, and you've got an underground access for hopping up. Hey, Chili Willy. Oh, run away. You know what's coming. And he balks like a chicken, because that's what penguins do. Anyway, this is not my base. This is just a starter base elsewhere in the world. That just shows what it looks like. We're going to head back to my actual base. Okay, this is my actual base. It was the same, of course, as the starter base, but you make it through quest chains and it unlocks new areas. You can build onto the base as well, but you know, if I really want to build a base, I'll generally build it underground. I don't necessarily find a lot of fun expanding a base in water. The original base had locks in these places, and you get keys from quest lines to crack those open and make it bigger. When you first start playing the game, the big thing the quest line drives you toward is building these little frames with nets. These nets, strainer bases, will start producing resources of these various kinds. And then these resources, the sand, gravel, and dirt, can be fed into a strainer here, which you can dump water in periodically to go ahead and strain out and produce some resources, including some coal and some things which ultimately produce a handful of metals and ingots. They have this ridiculous thing where you can teach rats to pick things up and move it for you, which, okay, I mean, it's better, it's different than pipes, but why? I thought the rats were cute, but it doesn't work with multiplayer. If one person tries to command a rat, that person's menu shows up in the other person's screen. So it's cute, but I'd rather just use pipes. Right. So there's quest lines. The introduction quest line is the one that shows you the strainers, how to build the strainers and stuff like that. Showed you that. There's cheese and, cheese and making rat cages. Talked about that. Then there's a handful of things like how to make some magma blocks and stuff like that with raw resources. That gets you your first key, kind of intro to the level thing. There's some stuff about building parts, how to use workbenches. They have, oh, just a second, I'm getting hot. I need to take off my cold clothes, I guess. They have a bunch of different kinds of workbenches, all of which hook up to a toolbox. These workbenches, you can click through the tabs of them all. They all take artisan tools, which you use along with possibly some fluid to build stuff. And this quest line is about some of these artisan tools and how that stuff works. How to build some basic things. There's this ridiculous so there's storage, which builds this easy storage thing. Easy storage box stores all your stuff up to a certain max amount. They, in theory, make it a little challenging to build up this max amount because you would have to get these super storage boxes. But in fact, with the dungeons I just hit dungeons and dump all this stuff in storage box. And when it comes down to it, I end up finding storage boxes in the dungeon. So I can just drop a storage box and increase this count from 80,000 to whatever. But I'll just dump the storage box in there because I don't care. And so that's the storage system, which is cute. They've got this other wacky concept of if you build a bunch of resources, you can take all of your corn and create assorted farming goods, which if you compress them in this thing and compress them again, you can then quote-unquote sell them using this wireless transmitter to sell them to merchants and get a little bit of money. They got a currency here called gills, which you can use by trading with villagers, but the villagers don't tend to sell anything you can't get otherwise. though I admit that I have used the Quest guild trades to keep buying solder, because it's easier just to buy solder than it is to make it. So it's a cute dynamic, but in practice there's nothing terribly critical you can get through those things. So, yeah, okay, sure. Otherwise, they do use the storage drawers, which of course you saw over here. The storage drawers are great. You need to feed all these things ultimately into a storage controller, which is hiding, drawer controller, which is hiding down there and connected to all the drawers, so it sorts the things into the appropriate drawers. There's some viaducts, which are cute. These are long pipes that take you somewhere and send you flying through the water, but I don't actually want to go up to the surface, so that's just a cute idea anyway. In fact, you tend to stay in your base most of the game, explore a bit for dungeons, and then come back. And then there's a whole Embers mod unlocks another key. The Embers mod is cute, but a bit janky. The Embers mods, oh man, how do I, volume is just obnoxious. Alright, let me turn that off. Options. Okay, the Embers mod has these Ember activator where you can feed a bunch of Ember things, which you get from the sluices, up to this activator, which goes through a emitter, and then you can build these specific machines. This one is an Ember dial to suck. Oh, sorry, this is a Ember input, but the input has to have the receptor on the top, or else it doesn't work because Ember is weird that way. This emitter only emits if you put a lever on it turned on. This extractor only extracts if you have a lever turned on. So these things all default to the not useful state, and you have to put on levers to put them back to the useful state, which makes this whole model a little confusing to use. And this thing ultimately produces some kind of power. Alright, fine, it's producing some energy, which I've got going into some pipes and feeding into my system. Not a big fan of the Ember thing. And what are these guys doing? Oh, these guys are feeding water because this thing requires water. So this requires fluid to be fed in, and so they're purifying water and shoving the water in there. There's nice Factorio style arms. I forget which mod that. I guess that's a magnetic craft. I like those. Those are fun. So the Ember bores have to be in bedrock. So let me put on my swimming gear and we'll head down to bedrock. So I've got mine carts going all the way down there into my underground, which I built those later. Decided to automate mine carts because that'd be kind of fun. But down here in the ground, right on top of bedrock, let me out, are these Ember bores. The Ember bores produce resources. Oh look, they're producing piles of them. Wonder if my cart got stuck. No, here comes a cart. Cart jumps the tracks, goes underneath, sucks up a bunch of resources. Has a signal to stop this guy from sending so the cart can fill up. The cart himself, hopefully, has been unloading. Yeah, he's been unloading upstairs. And so as the hopper empties up, that will indicate a signal here. That'll trigger this guy, which pushes the cart, and then the cart takes off. He'll head upstairs and unload up in the base. This is all a pile of complicated stuff to get all that to work. The Ember bores are the things that are sucking stuff out of the ground and constantly producing non-stop piles of ores and stuff. So this is my infinite resource machine. That's the one thing in Ember that's kind of cute, but again, you have to put levers and everything to enable them, because by default everything's turned off. And then they have this glitchy thing over here that produces mechanical power, and I call it glitchy because in fact it's missing a fluid input. There is no lava feeding it, but once you start feeding it lava, it will just run forever, even though it runs out of fluid because it's glitchy. So the Ember is mostly half-baked. Yeah. Back to the base. Okay, the other thing I get in a lot of those underground dungeons was TNT, which could be really useful for keeping track of what I've shown you so far and what I haven't shown you. Alright, we talked about these guys. There's no redstone markers around here, right? I mean, I do put a periodic redstone torch down, which would blow stuff up prematurely, but whatever. And we've seen this, and we've seen that. Yeah. Alright, so what else is in the quest chain? Alright, the Ember Boar is downstairs. There's a bunch of stuff for producing energy. Again, this is the Ember thing I showed you earlier. And then they're producing energy with pump jacks. Yeah, this kind of glitchy. But the pump jacks, you put the Ember Boars on bedrock, but the pump jacks you can't put on bedrock. It won't even let you. You put it somewhere above the surface. I end up putting this stupid thing like on top of this mast, the pirate ship, because that's where I kind of wanted it, and it works just fine. I don't know how it's pumping oil, but it pumps oil. It goes flying up into the base, where this thing also wants you to, and it is a little bit on rails. The quest chains, I can click on them all here, but for quest chains I haven't done, and there are some I can't do because the game is a little bit out of date. Like in the future is now. A lot of these are, I can't even click on them to see what they would do, which is a little unfortunate. It does mean if you build things out of order, it doesn't give you credit for them. You have to go back and build them again. Anyway, the oil feeds up. They want you to build a bunch of ethanol, take the ethanol and the oil, put it in a refinery, and then it goes off into a diesel engine, which is kind of cute. Anyway, that's kind of how those things work. Anyway, you've seen these now. Let's just mark them as seen. I'm sure there's a redstone torch around here or there, and levers. I gotta be careful when I put this TNT, because, you know, I don't really want to quite blow it up yet, but whatever. This is a corn farm producing piles of corn with these crazy crop sticks and stuff. The corn from that, of course, is fed downstairs from here. And this thing, that guy does set redstone signals. Let's not put the TNT over there. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, that was the quest chain for producing energy. They want you to build the ethanol and the pump jacks, and you can build portable generators. It's cute. You can expand your hub, which is basically ways to suck up water. A copy-paste gadget, I like that one a lot. It's a great way to build stuff. I built a lot of the stairway down here that my minecart uses in the copy and paste widgets because it's fairly repeating. So once I got it started, I just copied and pasted all the way down. Ironically, the game doesn't let you put wood too close to the ocean floor because it doesn't want you to build ground bases, but I mean, come on. I can dig in the ground, build a base, and it turns out the copy-paste widget has no problem building the things down there. The game just doesn't let you place them by hand, so there's ways to work around a lot of it. This is obviously the cart dumps off all of the raw resources. Anyway, it's expanding. There's tools of the trade, which just shows you a handful of things like a flux bore and stuff like that for digging for yourself. Something to maintain your temperature with a bunch of pointless power. I mean, you can just maintain your temperature by taking clothes on and off and maintain it that way. And it's, I mean, I don't know. The temperature doesn't add a lot of fun to the game. It just gives you something else to distract. Anyway, tools of the trade, kind of cute. Traversing the Deep, this was one of my favorite quest lines. This was the one that gave me the underwater submarine. Again, it gives you the key to unlock your base. And ultimately gives you a jetpack. The jetpacks are awfully convenient, especially in some of the other worlds, like when you go to the end. You definitely want the jetpacks to be able to fly around, otherwise you get knocked off the end and into the void and die, which, you know, everyone has to do once. Here's the minecart unloading resources, the top side. Again, I end up using these. It's hard to use minecarts to divert them in this game, so I just tend to like jump one track and the other track and then the other track and go back the other direction. Haven't played with trying to actually use logic to tell the cart which way to go. This is, well, quite literally on rails. enchanting table because you need that. Alright, yeah, anyway, once you have the jetpack, you can visit some other dimensions. There's a couple other dimensions here that are... There's a Gladicus dimension, which you can go get a few resources there. There is a Ratlantis dimension where you can build these, you can basically build these, Gem of Ratlantis. Whatever, you can go to Ratlantis dimension and pick up some obscure animals. That one wasn't a ton of fun. There was a whole quest line for that called Noah's Ark, where you can go to Ratlantis and you... It's these ridiculous quests. I guess the description. Can you find all the zoo animals? And then they give you some prizes, and basically you have to run around and literally tag all the animals by right-clicking them. I don't know why it's fun to go run around a dimension and see if you can find one of all the obscure animals. I kind of enjoyed seeing the animals, and I happened to get lucky and found the animal pretty quickly, which gave me some critical resources I need to advance. You either end up having to do it that way, which is a bit grindy, or in the aquaculture section you do these seed mutations and bring all these seeds to 10, 10, 10, which is also extremely grindy. There's a whole seed mutating thing where you can get high-level seeds which reproduce quickly using these crop sticks, which you need to get from Gladicus, I think? I don't know. It's a bit grindy. I did it for a few things because I wanted some food, like this Plowman's Lunch, which was good, high-quality food. The food dynamic here, if you press the N key, you can see your nutrition levels. And if you keep all these at relatively high things, you get all these boosts for free, which night vision is important in the water because otherwise you go into the water and you just can't see anything. That's not actual lava, it's just a tank full of lava. Which also gives you double the hearts. Notice all my hearts are orange instead of red. That's because they're all doubled up from the toughness boost, I think. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, right. So that was Traversing the Deep, right? And then there's Noah's Ark again. Go to Ratlantis. There's aquaculture, which teaches you how to use the crop sticks to build some things. Crop sticks now, and then again, you learn how to do the gardening. Get another key, unlock your last hub thing. How to use dispensers for automatic cropping. That's where this guy, for instance, is automatically cropping these infinity flare seeds, which is the reward I got for going to Atlantis and finding all this stuff. And so this guy's got a dispenser that is slowly grabbing all the things and shoving them in this box, which has got 1,500 of those. Yay. A lot of this quest line just involves grabbing the raw materials out of these things, figuring out what you need for some recipe, grabbing them all and running them over here and dumping them in the thing to build them, which, I mean, it's fun to explore the mods, but that gets a little repetitive. The real mod you want, which is AE2, is only barely recently unlocked. Sorry, AE2 over here, just recently unlocked, but I'm done with the mod pack just as I'm getting to the storage system, which would have made it more fun and less grindy. Yeah, that's about all to show of the base. Well, okay, a few more things. I got some TNT to place. What else is here interesting? I had to build some farms for animals. You actually need a bunch of pigs and chickens and stuff for whatever reason. There's just some quests that require it. Here's some TNT for you, cow. More TNT for you. TNT for everybody. Everybody gets TNT. TNT for you. Here, pigs. Don't worry about this. It's just decoration. Trust me, pigs. It's fine. This is fine. I am done with this mod. How do I know I'm done with this mod? I have to stop the impulse to play it. How can I make sure I stop playing this mod? I'm sure there's a way. Alright. Nothing interesting here. There's also these mob farms, which is in one of the quest chains. I think it's aquaculture? Or probably aquaculture. They teach you mob farms. Yeah, they teach you mob farms, and they give you some things if you want to go to the diamond mob farm, which requires finding gas tiers. I could make that one, but whatever. It turns out these mob farms, um, first of all, major pain in the neck to build, but it turns out you can find them in the dungeon. So none of these mob farms that I build, I had to build the first two you see in here. The big challenge with them is that even like the wooden mob farm requires triply compressed wood. That's like a lot of wood. It's like 2,000, like 2,000 some odd wood blocks. You can get the wood blocks early game with these botany pots. They just dump stuff in here. So I got enough wood, but I didn't set up this system. And this easy storage doesn't have an easy way to import stuff, so you have to like pick it up by hand. So like, screw that. And then the stone required triply compressed stone. Well, I don't have any source of stone. So, I mean, there's cobblestone coming up from the cart down below where you can mine it all by hand and smooth it out, which, you know, I did to build it to get through a quest chain, but the iron one, triply compressed iron, don't ever waste your time in that. You can find them in the dungeons, and you can find the gold in the dungeons. The short of them is you get a lasso, you lasso something, in this case a wither skeleton, you shove the lasso in there and it starts producing wither skeleton stuff, and like you can get your skulls that way. I had some other guys that were in here. This guy's still here, almost dead. Other resources, but that's the yeah, that's that. This is just for farming. Handful of other things I just had to build somewhere along the way. Nothing interesting. I do like the immersive engineering. It's the alloyer, things. Nothing much else up here. You should have some TNT somewhere along the way, I think. Yeah, a little more TNT, just be better. And, okay, one of my favorite mods was certainly this whole chain. This is the cooking for blockheads mod, where it basically encourages you to set up a kitchen. Because of Pam's Harvest Craft, this thing includes Pam's Harvest Craft, which I liked a lot. Pam's Harvest Craft, piles of seeds. Oh, you know what? I have to show you my garden upstairs. Okay, let's go see the garden. Full of monsters, no doubt, because they want to kill me. I built a nice section of plots. You can see this chili. It's just so satisfying. Chili pepper, broccoli, agave, garlic, okra. I don't actually know what to do with half these crops. And that's where cooking for blockheads comes in. Okay, tag. I don't want to play tag. Okay, back to base. Cooking for blockheads. So you build a kitchen with these parquet kitchen floors, and everything over the floors is all considered part of the kitchen, including these two refrigerators full of a pile of raw ingredients. The challenge that Pam's Harvest Craft provides is that Pam's Harvest Craft, with 14 pages of recipes, has got piles and piles of stuff you could cook, like, I don't know, river mud cake. This requires some coconut and cocoa powder and stuff, and these things require some things, or fruit cake. Anyway, they're complicated recipes, which is fun, but if you got some ingredients, one of the questions you always have is, well, what can I make? Cooking for blockheads takes that over. If you build an oven where you can cook meat, and you power it some way, you have a toaster for making toast, you can have cupboards for storing stuff. I got extra food in here. A sink which you can shove water in so you have access to water, cow in a jar for access to milk, and then other tool things. You can now go into your cooking table and it will show you all the things you could build. So if I wanted to make an apple pie, I click on the apple pie, and assuming I got excess ingredients to build those things, it will make it. I said excess ingredients. It's a little self-contradicting here. I have this fridge upgraded with a preservation chamber, which means I can't use the last ingredient. So some of these things like salt, I can't use that last salt, can't use that last cornmeal, etc. And so, and really it's the last flour that prevents me from making, last dough that prevents me from making the apple pie. Anyway, it's a cool mod. Let's just see what you can make. And if I didn't have the preservation on that fridge, it would have let me make it. But anyway, that's that. Couple immersive engineering things for smelting things, making coke ovens, blah 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 blah. Okay, so frustration with the mod. I like the mod overall. It was mod pack. It was fun. I am giving up right around here because this mod is buggy. It turns out there are several parts of this quest chain that were basically uncompletable. It started with parts production for this thing, dungeon crawling. It says, hey, you can build some dynamite too to blow things up in the dungeons, which requires turbo tube, which drops from a rocket squid. It turns out, while the rocket squid mod is installed, there are no rocket squids. Between when the author generated this thing and I downloaded it 3 years later, the rocket squids stopped spawning. So the only way to complete that quest was to go to a village and buy that dynamite from villagers, because, you know, that's fun. Oh, this area, by the way, I was showing you all this. Oh no, I'm out of dynamite. Might have to build more dynamite. TNT. Do I have ingredients to build this? Of course I do. Let's build some more dynamite, because I don't think I have enough. There we go. Oh, that could get powered, couldn't it? Oh, I gotta be careful. I came really close to powering that thing already. Not ready yet. Alright, so that was one point of frustration, was the rocket squid. Small thing, because I didn't really need the dynamite, I was just completing that. And then the next line, which is really obnoxious, in the agriculture, it teaches you how to do this cooking for blockheads, and it comes down here and says, great, make 16 gourmet venison burgers. I said, great, I now know I've got the blockhead mod, I know how to use my kitchen, I've got piles of ingredients, maybe I'm missing some seeds, but I can go get them. How do I build this? Well, you need a gourmet venison patty. By the way, you can get it from loot bags. This is actually where I've got like 8 of these so far. I got them from crawling dungeons. But this was in the blockheads quest chain. Clearly I'm supposed to use the blockhead stuff. So let's build a venison patty. How do I build that? Well, with ground venison. No matter how you slice and dice it, it uses ground venison. Great. How do I build ground venison? Wait a second. The only way to build ground venison is with a tofu thing? So whatever animal is supposed to build the ground venison, like say deer, must not exist in this mod. JNEI is unaware of it. No big deal. I guess I'll make a tofu venison. How do I make tofu? Oh, I need firm tofu. Great. Firm tofu comes from a centrifugal separator. Great. How do I build this? And the short answer is you can't. Is there a recipe for this? No. Cannot build it. Well, did I ever get any from all my dungeon crawling? No. Nope, there's none. Can't build it. So this quest chain is broken. Just can't build it. You can't buy it from villagers. You can find them in dungeons. I made it as far as finding, I don't know, 8 of them? Okay, let's put my food back in there. I'm done. I'm eating gourmet venison burgers from now on. Only a few left, but whatever. Alright, so that was frustrating. That I decided I could crawl dungeons. That wasn't enough to make me quit this mod. The last straw, however, was, again, it's just decayed and rotted a bit. In the future is now thing, I need to build a powered spawner, which requires a prescient crystal. Prescient crystal requires a soul vial of a shulker, which basically means you need to take a soul vial and right-click on a shulker. There are no shulkers in this game. There's no end cities. They just don't exist. So I will never get a soul vial of a shulker. It turns out there is no way to produce these except right-clicking on a shulker. I don't know how this used to work when the guy released the mod. My best guess is that Prescient Crystals might have been in loot things. There is no other way to get this. JNEI will show you how to get some things from the loot bags. However, for instance, nether stars, according to this, can only be crafted. They're actually craftable. You can build nuggets. There's no other way to get them from treasure chests. However, it turns out they actually are in the pirate treasure chests. So these treasure chests, which you can get from the pirate ships, we got one earlier. If I unlock that, it might actually have nether stars in there. This is a cute mod thing. You can get yourself some keys for these treasure chests, and using the right key for the right chest, this key of course unlocks Well, I mean, if I look at the gem, the lock requires a ruby lock. Accept key ruby lock. So use the ruby lock. Come on, unlock. Or the sapphire lock. And for some reason the thing failed once. Fine. Give me another one. So these things can, for instance, sometimes get you nether stars. And so it's not in JNEI, so I just got a huge boatload of these things to see what else I could find in here. There are no prescient gems. That is not something you can get in here. I got so many of these things, I ended up finding 4 nether stars along the way. But, yeah, prescient gem, not so much. Prescient, no, you can't get it. So this whole quest line in the future now is dead. You're supposed to be able to wither spawner to farm nether stars because you need some sometimes. You can build them other ways, but at this point I was just done. I could do the AE2 thing, which AE2 is an awesome mod, and then check out some of this other stuff. But since I've spent a bunch of my time debugging flaws in the game because it's bit rotted since it was released. Hey, where'd my TNT go? Come back here. I decided there was no point in continuing. So that being said, I don't think there's anything else to mention with this mod pack, except that it was kind of fun to play with. Here, go away. But next time I run a mod pack, I need to clearly do it when it's released, not late in the game. Do we have TNT going all over the appropriate places? Yeah, sure. Let's just say we do. I don't know if these things will actually even light. Anyway, that's it for me. Let's see. This thing seems to have a redstone signal. No redstone signal there. Really? How about right here? Oh, that'll do it. Anyway, fun mod pack. Yep. Gotta run. Oh, my home bed was missing or obstructed. Oh, it spawned me at the other Chili Willy. Oh, that's hilarious. Huh. Well, that's kind of appropriate. You blow up your base, you get stuck with this.